start the recording. Yay, it works.
Cool. So yeah, I got a few questions for you. I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on a few topics that we're thinking about. Quickly introduce myself. I'm Brandon, the founder and CEO of Polymail. We make a email collaboration platform for sales teams. We're in the summer 16 batch, by the way. So
cool.
Yeah.
I had a look at the website, and should I compare this with other products like what's it called? Stripe, Spring? No, it's something with an S. CRM kind of.
Not so much as CRM. So we're more of a messaging platform. So we provide tools for messaging, analytics, collaboration that you would use alongside your CRM, for example.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, my first question is just that I'd love to hear when you were at an earlier stage, around your seed stage, maybe around YC, what were some of the most effective strategies that you used for growth that you found were effective?
It's I know many people have like a super. It's not the most conventional thing, but we just try to listen to our users really well. So GitLab got started as a show hacker news of GitLab.com, and we always try to see where our users were. Mostly was on Hacker News, and talk with them and see what was up. And they will frequently, in the beginning, they won't care about your product. So in the beginning, what you do is when you find people that have kind of a need for the product, you try to bring it to their attention. And then you get into a phase where they care about your product and are asking you for more. Mm-hmm. That's easy. That's the honeymoon phase. And I think now we're getting to a time where people take GitLab as a given. It's there, and it should be perfect. So they tell you all the things that are wrong, which you should still like view as a gift. But in the beginning, it was a lot of, hey, I think you have this need. Now, we had a product that developers like to talk about. So I'm not sure how well it scales to this product. So let me think about that for a second.
I guess maybe to be a little more specific, what were some of the things that you did maybe past that stage in terms of user acquisition, once you already had a product that you knew people found valuable, but past the stage of, just organic growth? What were some of the effective strategies that you used to acquire new customers?
Yeah, I think for us, the biggest problem when adopting like a new version control product is mostly the on-premises. It's mostly the installation. So we try to make the installation as easy as possible. We built a team that just focused on that very early, and still one of our hardest working teams that just tries to make sure that everything is a super smooth experience. I think you probably don't have that problem because you're in the App Store. I think find out where the friction is. So with an email product, I'd be worried about transferring all the settings from Gmail or something like that, entering my Gmail passwords, having those things expire and having to give the password again. I want some reassurances that, look, it's it's going to be super easy, and I don't have to. Do I have to create a new account or not? How many times does it expire? Is it when I've installed it on the Mac? Can I like scan a QR code and have it on iOS, so I don't have to type a long password, or does it work differently? Maybe I'm just guessing a bit, but just find out like what users are pretty smart. They know like, oh, another email product. I kind of want to try it, but I don't want to give my password more than 2 times. And I have a super secure Gmail password, and I have 2-factor setup, so I don't want to do that. Figure out what it is and how you can address that.
Cool. So kind of just removing barriers to adoption, making that as smooth a process as possible.
Yeah, smooth process is pretty obvious, but kind of giving people a heads up that you thought about that. And so, okay, I can download it for Mac, but what's your promise? You can install it in 2 minutes. You don't have to create an account, and you have to provide your Gmail credentials only once every year or something like that. What's the promise here?
Okay, got it. Makes sense. I know that GitLab is mostly enterprise focused, but I do notice that you have some self-serve options on your website. I'd be curious to know how you balance growth efforts and how much you focus on users coming to the website and self-serving, or how much you focus on direct sales, and how you think about that.
Yeah, it's really a question of organization size and therefore deal size. So smaller organizations are all self-serve. Larger organizations, so over 5,000 people, are all with a sales team. So it's a hybrid, so-called hybrid strategy. But I think you need both, and otherwise you're just missing that part of the market. So for us, you can buy a license for GitLab Enterprise Edition Starter for just a person, $40. And people do that all the time. But you can also, we also have like deals where people buy thousands of seats for $200 per person per seat, so hundreds of thousands of dollars, and those all go to salespeople. The hard part is mid-market, figuring that out. What's also been surprising is that for those larger accounts, very rarely will they express intent themselves. They might do requested demo, they might send out a contact form, but they're very used to just being approached by salespeople. So you're going to have to do more outbound there.
So how do you think about, given the resources that you have for growth, how much you allocate towards, say, marketing to bring in the lower market self-serve customers versus how much do you focus on building the sales team and putting resources into that?
Yeah, so marketing has 2 things, like raising awareness, and that's kind of across the spectrum. And for the demand gen side of marketing, we have a couple of people. Let's say, and then the sales side. So that's our BDR team that are sorting through the leads. And then the direct sales part, the SDR team, is starting to get a lot bigger than that. Let me quickly see. So right now, the SDR team under sales, that's 6 people. Oh no, sorry, I have it backwards. So the BDR team has 6 individual contributors to it. So that's in marketing. But that's changing soon. I think it's changing with us. So where we used to have it like 2 times as big as in marketing and then in sales, I think we're finding that the sales team that seems to be a very effective route. It's still early for us. We're still building up the team in sales, but the surprising thing is that just reaching out to people still works. So that's account-based selling, figuring out, okay, we got these named customers and we go after them. That works really well for us.
And do you usually just reach out over email, like a cold email outreach?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like given that enterprise customers would be much higher value, your product is pretty focused on enterprise. Sounds like direct sales and focusing more on enterprise level clients would be a higher return for you. So it's interesting to see that you still have some, allocation for the smaller like self-serve teams.
Yep. What's coming into marketing, demand gen is kind of everything. And what we do with the BDRs and with the automation is try to filter out the self-serve, like the smaller organizations, direct them to self-serve, and then us following up with the larger ones. So also there we're filtering for the larger organizations. Basically, all the money in the end comes from the larger organizations for us.
Yeah, it sounds like it makes sense. In terms of marketing, what are some effective strategies that you've used to raise awareness and create demand for GitLab?
I'm not sure how good we are there or whether it applies to you, but it's a lot of it has been regular, like enterprise marketing things, webinars, white papers, getting people interested, getting their email addresses, advertising. We got to community advocates that whenever GitLab's mentioned on social media, they follow up there.
How do you get people to sign up for the webinar or sign up for white papers? How I guess do people first find out about GitLab?
Blog posts, social media, but also lots of advertising, LinkedIn, other platforms.
And you found that to be pretty effective?
Yeah, I think we just had a webinar and more than 1,000 people signed up for it. So,
wow, that's great. Cool. So I want to ask a little bit about product strategy. I'd like to know, how do you think about product strategy with respect to building new features versus improving on existing features or improving the adoption rate of existing features?
Oh, that's a good one. For us, it's kind of a pendulum that swings back and forth. And right now we focused a lot on new features for a while. And now this quarter, we're focused on increasing the adoption of the features we already have. Mostly that's happening with new features, but we're not biting off more scope. It's more about, hey, how can we increase adoption for the features we already have? And what are the features in between that are kind of missing?
Right. It's always a hard decision to make. I'm wondering if you have any kind of a framework or data that you use to kind of make those decisions of when it's the right time to improve his features, when's it the right time to build.
Well, we release some features and we have the suspicion that very few people are using them. So then it's time to make sure that those are actual things that people can use.
How do you think about, kind of similar question, I guess, how do you think about building visionary features, features that you want as part of your product vision, but people aren't necessarily asking for, versus building in direct response to customer requests?
Yeah, I do both. The problem is if you only do one of them, you need, for us particularly, we started off as just version control and code review, and we're now the whole DevOps pipeline, all the way from chatting about an idea and planning that to getting it out there in production and monitoring it. No one asked for that. It's something we did, and it's the future of the company now. And we'd be in a really bad spot if we wouldn't have done that. At the same time, don't lose track of what your customers are asking for. So yeah, balancing that is the hard part. And I think the natural thing is to do too little visionary stuff, because if you build the right company, then everyone will be listening to your customers. So the whole company will be screaming, let's build these things that customers want. So I think it's the leadership task is to focus on the other part. What do we need to be a better company in 5 years? Obviously, you want to see we release it after a year, we want to see usage, and after another year, we want to see money coming from it. That's our criteria.
Got it. So the team naturally kind of gravitates to building reactive features. And so it's the leadership's responsibility to instill the vision of like, this is where we want to go in the next 5 years. And this is what we have to do despite people not necessarily asking for it.
Yes.
Cool. That makes sense. I understand that you bootstrapped for quite some time before raising any money. Is that right?
Yeah, correct.
So I'd like to know, how did you decide when it was the right time to raise institutional funding? I know you've raised from some great venture funds so far. How did you know that it was the right time for you to go out and start raising that?
Yeah, we were in Y Combinator. We tried to hire a great sales leader, and everyone we approached said they wanted stock in the company, and we hadn't raised any outside money, so the stock was all mine and Dimitri, we're co-founders. We hadn't given any stock to employees. So now we were like, okay, if we're not able to give out stock, we're not going to hire the best people. And if we are not able to hire the best people, we're going to lose in the marketplace. Now, if you give stock and you're not taking outside money, you're going to grow, but grow slowly. And the people are going to have to wait a very long time for their stock to be worth anything. That's kind of not the deal that these executives were expecting. So when you give out stock, they hope, they have like a 4-year vesting, and they expect after 6-7 years it's worth something, and they can get liquid. So now you have the problem, okay, we should be somewhere in 5-6 years. So now, well, the only way to get there is if we attract external capital. So now you went from being bootstrapped to just being a regular VC-funded company.
Got it. So the idea is that in order to attract top-level talents, you needed to raise external funding to accelerate growth, basically, so that when that 6-7 schedule people expect, your stock or your company has presumably grown fast enough where the stock is worth something at that point.
Correct.
Got it. Interesting. That makes sense. How do you, with respect to setting project deadlines, or say you're building a new feature, a new product, how do you think about setting targets and deadlines for your team that are aggressive and that motivate them to move fast and grow, but being realistic at the same time and not just being discouraging by setting too aggressive of a deadline where it seems, unlikely that they were able to hit that?
Yep, it's hard. You'll never get it exactly right, but I think it's empowering if people can set their own deadlines. So ask them when is this going to be finished. We ship every month, so the only thing we need to do is plan a release. And we have product managers just set a deadline or set a release, and they try to make sure that there's not too much in a single release. And the motto in the company is, you're going to have a bunch of issues for the release, but all of the things should be finished in that release. So you just keep cutting scope until it fits.
Okay, got it. So you kind of just let people be autonomous in setting their own targets and deadlines, and it kind of forces them to cut scope or change the projects to fit within the timeline.
Yeah, so product kind of sets the deadlines, and then engineering kind of has to cut scope so that they'll be able to ship it in time.
Cool. That makes sense. When your team grows beyond just, co-founders and the first few employees, From like an internal perspective, what are some things that you had to do as your team was growing really quickly to make things work from like an operational level? Was there any kind of like things that you noticed that, really changed and you had to adapt to as your team was going from like 10 people to like 30 or 40?
Yeah, I think at 20 people, it were all people with like sales or development, mostly developers. And I was the only like ops person, and that was way too late. So at 15 people, I should have already hired someone that takes care of like operational tasks. And you got to think about things like an office manager, things like an EA, things like that's 30, 40 people, a people operations person.
Mm-hmm.
If you skimp on that, you're gonna pay the price in regards to where you're spending your time.
Mm-hmm. Is there any way that you can think about when it's the right time to make those changes and to hire those people, or it's kind of just by feel?
Or, as I said, 15, I would hire an office manager if you have a physical location, otherwise an EA or something like that. And at 30 to 40, I would hire a people operations person.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That makes sense. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? What's your kind of, schedule look like in your daily workflow
Cool.
now that you're a much larger company?
I like to not generalize, so I'll just be specific. This morning, I had a half-hour infrastructure call. It's one of the teams all the teams that run GitLab.com. I want to get that better, so that's important to me. So I attended that meeting. Then we had a presentation for a potential customer. It was remote. It was an hour. It was half an hour. I had an hour of free time. I mostly spent it on catching up on Slack and chatting about things that were on there. I had this got canceled. A board member arrived early for a meeting, so I canceled a hangout I was supposed to have with a report. Then we had a so-called informal board meeting, 1.5 hours. I prepped that. I made a thing about all the things I'm paying attention to right now. We discussed that. I had a call with someone I wanted to thank for something that was quick, 5 minutes, did some email. I had a half an hour call with a report. I had a half an hour call about our installation process. Had a half an hour of email, then had a almost 2-hour call with a report. Now we're doing this for an hour, and after this I'll have a half an hour call with a report.
Mm-hmm. Those calls with the report, what exactly are those?
So those are one-on-ones. It's just me and the report, and we'll go to our agenda.
Got it. Okay. So those are with team members, basically, one-on-ones.
Yeah. Well, the one-on-ones they're reporting to me, so I'm having the call as their manager.
Mm-hmm. Got it. That makes sense. Do you I'm curious if you set OKRs for the company?
We do. Did a good job Q1, Q2, it's kind of a messy process. Want to get back on track in Q3, but we have an OKR process. We use Lattice to do it. And it takes a while to get used to, but doing better now.
Cool. Yeah, we're just getting started. Last quarter was our first quarter doing OKRs, and it's a tricky thing to get right. We're still very much learning, so I'd love to hear if you have any insight as to how you design effective OKRs and really instill them in the team so that are actually very effective.
They should be actionable, preferably based on metrics. I learned that I wanted to make it someone's job to update those metrics as we go along. And what's important, and I haven't done a good job of it, coming back to the OKRs during the regular one-on-one meetings with reports.
Mm-hmm. Do you just set the OKRs and then check up on them during the meetings with your reports?
Yeah, you should basically check up on them every 2 weeks, every month.
If they're not going well and say it doesn't look like you're on track to hit the OKR, how do you go about that? And how do you work with the team member there to make sure that, do you adjust it or?
Yeah, everything's possible. If it's not realistic, just adjust it. Don't be afraid to change them halfway. See why it's not going well. Like wrong goal, change the goal. Wrong, not paying enough attention. Pay more attention. It blocked somewhere. Try to take away the blockage. It depends on why it's not going well.
Mm-hmm. Do you usually set the OKRs, or is it set by upper management, or do you have individual teams set their OKRs kind of autonomously?
So as the executive team, we prepare a set of OKRs. I have a big share of the voice in that, and then we set them for the company, and people derive their OKRs from there.
Got it. So each team like has their own set of OKRs that are derived from the management executive team's OKRs that you set, basically.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Is there anything that you would change in retrospect from everything that you've done so far that you think would have maybe changed the course or have improved the outcome of GitLab so far?
I started GitLab by creating GitLab.com. And so Dimitri, my co-founder, started GitLab, the open source project. I created GitLab.com. Mm-hmm. And in hindsight, I pay more attention to, I'd rather have us not start that, although it was an essential start, but it would be better to start it now. And well, in reality, we started it a while ago and it's not been a great experience. It's grown so fast that we're always kind of behind on making it a great experience. And I like to be ahead of things. So starting GitLab.com later would be something I'd do.
So the demand for the product kind of outgrew the ability to provide the really great product experience?
Exactly.
Got it. So you would have actually worked more on the product before launching it, essentially.
Well, I'd focused on people also running GitLab self-installed, self-hosted. So I would have just focused on that and start.com when we were ready for it.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that you found you had to do to adapt to that? Now you have huge demand for the product and maybe it's not quite ready. How did you kind of handle that situation?
That's why I was in the infrastructure call this morning. We're paying attention. We're hiring for it. We're trying to make it better as fast as we can.
Well, it's a good problem to have.
Well, I'd rather not have the problem. Like I'd rather have people not use our product than using the product and not being absolutely happy about it. So it's not about users. It's about happy users. Mm-hmm. And then if not 100% of the users are happy, and we're not doing good enough job. So,
mm-hmm. That makes sense. Definitely agree with you on that. Well, I think that's actually all the questions that I have for now. And I don't want to take up too much of your time. I think I've learned a ton, and I really appreciate you taking the chance to chat with me. Cool. You're based up in SF, right?
Yes, I am. Where are you?
We're in LA.
Cool. Well,
yeah.
Thanks for chatting with me. Thanks for your questions. They were all really good. And good luck with the blog post. I hope you get that out soon. We work together on that. And then I look forward to, I'd be happy to do that this anytime again.
Cool. Absolutely. Appreciate it. And next time I'm in the Bay Area, I would love to drop by and maybe we could do this kind of thing again.
Cool. Looking forward to that. You can tell me all the instances where I was wrong with my advice.
All right. Will do. Thanks again, Sid. Have a great rest of your week.
You too, man.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.